Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing? Good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Lori just stepped out for a second, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Can you hear me okay if I don't use that? Okay. Lori's just going to be here in just a minute, but one of the things we wanted to share with you guys today is we will be launching a new Ellucian Go mobile app starting March 21st, so right after spring break. The mobile app will pretty much be Kish Connect, or not Kish Connect, Kish SOS in a mobile version for students. So I just wanted to demo it for you guys today so you were aware of what was coming. There'll be some marketing and things that will happen for students after spring break. Can everybody see? Okay, I know it's black right now, but. So one of the great things that will happen with the mobile app is you can do push notifications. So right now I have a test one up there that says knock knock. Everything that will come through with the mobile app, it will say Ellucian Go. It will not say Kishwaukee College. It will say Ellucian Go, and the marketing materials reflect that, so students will be aware of that as well. So, that's okay. Anybody remember it? Okay, good. And this is my personal phone, so it's okay. But so this is what the app will look like on somebody's screen. It's this purple E down at the bottom that says Ellucian Go. And as you can see, there's that one next to it, so it shows that there is a notification on the phone or on the app. So then this will be the landing page for the mobile app, and it is for a tablet as well. The username and password is their Kish ID username and password, so it's the same thing. It's nothing new for students. They just have to use the same one to log in. So then this is the menu. So similar to other mobile websites, we have this little hamburger icon that you would click on to get the actual menu. Students will be able to view their grades, their courses that they are enrolled in. They can actually search for classes and put them in their cart and then register. I'll show you that here in just a second. Financial information, I believe this just shows their balances, account information. They cannot make payments through the app though. There will be a staff directory. I'll show that to you as well. The notifications, this is where all of them would show up. I've done a couple, so there's who's there and test. It has links to all of our social media, our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It will link to the website for campus maps, and then home, about, and switch schools just means there's a long list within the actual Ellucian Go app that you can choose the different schools that are utilizing this piece of the product. So let's show you the register. So this is the screen that students would go to, and you can select a term, and I'm going to select this spring. And then search criteria, you actually have to enter in some type of term to search, and I've already kind of tested it out a little bit. So I'm going to search for an aesthetics class. Oops, not eat. And so all the ones for spring semester come up. You can then click on it to get the full information. Again, this is the same information that is in Kish SOS. It's just in a mobile version. So I'm going to go ahead and select that I want to take this introduction class on Monday nights that we got that at 5 o'clock, and it starts March 21st. So I'm going to click down here, add it to my cart. So the course is now added in my cart, and you can see down here I can then view my cart. So that class is in my cart. So then I can then select it again, and then down there it pops up to register for the class. So then I can click register. Well, don't get too excited, Betty, because I'm going to drop it here in just a second. So then I'm registered for the class now, and I actually, if I were to log into my email, I also will be getting an email just like students do now, and I've been getting tons of emails as I've been playing telling me I'm registering and then dropping for classes. So then I can go to courses, and if I were to look at my schedule for Monday, March 21st, it now shows up on my course planner.
You can click in the lower right on that screen too.
And if I had more classes, it would show me all my classes. So you can actually see your full schedule. Thank you, Eric. Okay, so let's go back to register. If I click on the register down here at the bottom, showing me the class, and if I click on it there, I can now drop the class. Sorry, Betty. Sorry, Leslie. That was quick. No time. And so now I'm dropped from the class. Directory. We're just going to pick on Betty. So you can type in a staff member's name, and then their information pulls up, and I'm not quite sure why Betty's number is not there. Let's try.
That's all right.
So for me, we actually tested this yesterday, and then if you click call, I'm now calling myself in my office. So there's no having to enter an extension, it automatically does it for you, which is kind of nice. So students have that directory capability from the mobile app. I'm gonna hang up on myself.
There's more to come on those phone calls.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. So I'm gonna hang up on myself. So that's the mobile app in a nutshell. And I just have to give credit to Eric Herman and Michelle Rothmeyer, who are really the ones that pushed this through through the MyKC governance team. So they were really the ones that spearheaded this project. So kudos to them for getting this done. Shelley.
Is this only for students who are currently Kishwaukee College students?
Students that have Kish ID numbers, or a Kish ID
They
logins.
have to go through the
Yep.
computer or upstairs otherwise.
Yep. And I don't know if you have any other questions, but Michelle and Eric are happy to answer anything else. Again, the information is out there. Students are already able to download it. You can download it and test it. You can play with it yourself. But we will be doing more marketing about it starting the 21st after spring break. So we're really going to push students to utilize the app in preparation for summer and fall registration.
Is there any plan to make it available as like a recruitment tool at some point?
I think it just depends on the features that we have through Ellucian. 'Cause this is an Ellucian product through DataTel Kish SOS. So, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Do you want me to turn the lights back up?
Please.
Okay.
Sorry, mic up here.
Yes.
Thanks. Technology. Just old enough that technology is like a huge challenge for me. There, can you hear me? Yes?
Great, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. We're doing good, Betty? I can hear you. Oh, good.
And we're doing good.
Now that Kate picked on Betty, she's wide awake.
I think Betty picked on me first.
Oh,
Your mic's not working, but we can hear you.
the mic's not working? Maybe if I turn it on. Hello? Probably don't need the mic. I got a big enough voice without it, but thank you. Thank you for being honest. See, there we go. Just
We've also got something here too, okay?
do I? What's your name? Katie, take care of your people. Yeah. I'm glad we haven't lost our sense of humor. And I do often have stuff in my teeth because I eat a lot of salad, and I have, the shape of the teeth. Anyway, I always appreciate if someone, I say, when you're a friend, you'll say, hey, check your teeth. So I just had a salad for lunch. I just had lunch with the Judays, which is always a great experience. It was the first time I actually sat and talked with them for an hour and learned a lot, and love to be out in the community and get the feedback about direction that people who have an opinion and are the movers and shakers of the region and really can help us do things. So it was good feedback and good ideas. And Marshall, we got some work to do. But it's very good stuff. So excited to work on those initiatives. So the presidential briefings have been scheduled right after board meetings, so that for those of you, and most of you were not at the board meeting last night, we'll kind of go through some of the things that were discussed and the decisions that were made and voted on. And then I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to move forward as a college. Katie already did her piece. Marshall's got a little piece here. Kevin, if he makes it back, he's having an experience too, which I'll tell you about in a minute. If he doesn't make it, we'll share Kevin's stories. And then we'll go forward. What I'll try to do in the future is I'll try to get the agenda for the presidential briefing posted on the portal before. I apologize, I did this last night after the board meeting. It's just the week got away from me a little bit. So life's gonna slow down just a little bit for all of us, I'm hoping. And so that will be my plan, is that the day before, then you can kind of see what we'll talk about at the briefing. So let's first talk about what happened at the board meeting last night. Other than, that's the last thing. But first of all, tuition and fees. They did approve that we will be raising the tuition rate next year for students $10 for our in-district residents. We are still having conversations. The senior leadership team is still having conversations about out-of-district tuition. We're having conversations about maybe reducing that because we don't matriculate and enroll enough of our out-of-district applications. We get a lot of out-of-district applications. We want to see if we can get more of those to enroll, and maybe by reducing the tuition a little bit, we can get some more of those students. See, Bernie, I listen. Keep your ideas coming, folks. They're good. People are still sending ideas, and keep them rolling because we listen, and we're going to try some things. So we're going to look at what we charge for out-of-district tuition. That decision can be made by administration, so it doesn't have to go to the board, but we know we've got a time crunch with getting information in the tables. So we're going to look at maybe reducing the out-of-district tuition a little bit, so that'll be coming. Radiology program, they are going to variable tuition. That will be 4 program classes only, and it will be for the first-year students this year, so those students who are in the second year of the program will not be affected. It will be the students who are just starting the program. They will pay double. And the reason we do that, it's similar to the nursing program. It's because of the cost of the program with their site, what do we call those? Clinicals. Yeah. Yeah, and the clinicals and the student-to-faculty ratio. And the students, when they graduate, they command a pretty good salary, so can afford. Did this a few years ago with nursing, and it seems to be working just fine. And this is pretty typical of the other community colleges in Illinois. They're doing the same thing for these 2 programs. So we're feeling good about that, generate a little bit more revenue. We discussed dual credit and how we're working with our high schools and how we are currently charging half tuition and fees for our students, our high school students who are enrolled in dual credit courses. This is going to go into effect for fall of 17, so it is not this fall because high schools are pretty much done with their registration of students for fall of 16. We brought it to the board as a first reading and they decided to just vote on it last night, but basically what we're going to do is charge a flat registration fee of $50 for dual credit students, and then we will not charge them tuition. And we're hoping with that we get more students involved in dual credit. We especially are concerned about students who don't have the financial means to enroll in dual credit by charging half tuition and fees. We feel like there's a pretty good segment of the population who can't do that, and we want everyone who wants to have a college experience in high school to be able to be a part of that. We also feel like by reducing the cost and going to a flat registration fee, we're going to work with the high schools a little bit more closely and hope that we can get into their classrooms, that will be part of our bargaining. We would love to see faculty have the opportunity to get into classrooms in the high school if it works, or Bryce or whomever may be out there working with our high school students. We think that that's the best way to do some recruitment. Experience has taught me in my previous position that that is really where we do our best work, is in the classrooms as far as recruitment and getting them into our college. So we'll start that initiative in the fall, and for those students who are on free and reduced lunch, and they're receiving it, not eligible, but are actually receiving it, we will work with the high schools for verification, and those students will not be charged the $50 fee. So we're going to make this opportunity available to all prospective students. And so we're looking forward to making those changes going forward. Really, again, working on our relationships with our high schools and building that pipeline into our college. There was a discussion about naming our Board of Trustees room to the Founders Boardroom, honoring, recognizing the founding board members. There have been some donations into the College Foundation from family members of the original founders of the Board of Trustees, and so we voted on naming rights of the board, and you'll see some new things on the wall where it now says boardroom. It'll say Founders Boardroom, and there'll be some plaques and things. So it'll be worth a trip up. Come visit and see what gets up there. What is the timeline, estimated timeline?
We're hoping to have that up on the wall early May.
Early May. So that'll be great. It's been in the works for a little bit, so we're glad that that's going to be done and taken care of. We then voted on the reduction in force. Basically, last night it was just the vote. The packet that was in the board materials, if any of you went online and saw it, it just basically listed employee ID numbers, and they were grouped together by their represented area, KCSS, KCEA, and then the non-represented were just voted on, approved. You know, I've talked before about how sometimes when I was interviewing and I spoke with groups, I could feel the sadness in the room. I felt that same feeling last night, sitting at that table with the Board of Trustees. None of them wanted to do this. It was a really hard experience for a lot of people, and I want you to know that. And there were some sentiments made by Bob Johnson, our board chair, regarding the board having to go through what they're having to go through. And you know, they put together a letter that will go in the packet to the employees who will be leaving the organization, thanking them for their service. These are tough times, and these are really hard decisions, and a lot of people have gone through a lot of pain through this process, and we want to recognize that and know that this Friday is the last day for those employees. We made that decision based on a lot of input and a lot of feedback that we had received, and we continue to receive the feedback and hear things, and are trying to make our decisions going forward based on what people are telling us. I said this to the board. This was a discussion in closed session when we were actually going through the list of people. They wanted to see the names. They wanted to talk about some of the names. And I said, you know, this is our first time doing it. I had discussed previously that I have been through reductions at my previous college. Boy, we did it probably 5 years in a row that we went through it. But this is the first time for Kish. And every organization is different. And we tried some things, and we had a plan, and then some people said, hey, everybody wants to know ahead of time, so we changed our plans and we did things a little bit different. I don't know that we did it exactly perfect. I don't know that we did it right. And maybe we'll learn some things and do it a little bit different if it ever occurs again. And what we're hearing from Springfield, I don't know. I don't know what next year is going to look like. But we tried, and so continue to provide us the feedback. And you don't have to deliver it directly to me, although you certainly are welcome to, but get it to supervisors, get it to other people. If there's things you think we could do differently going forward, if we ever have to go through this experience again, how can we make sure that we make it work for the people affected and the people left behind? And so, because there's pain on both sides, and we recognize that. So we want to move forward as a college, but we want to just get through this week, help these people exit our organization with the respect and dignity they deserve for the service they've provided the college, and then we'll move forward together. So are there any questions on anything from the board meeting last night? Or any comments or thoughts anybody wants to provide on any of that? Okay, so then the next thing I want to talk about is how we move forward. How does Kish College move forward? And one of the first things we've got to do is we got to start planning for how we're filling those gaps. There's a lot of gaps that are being left, holes that need to be filled, And so we've got to start some conversations. I know some areas have already started those conversations, and there was even some training that was going on. And thanks to those of you who've been working on it. But we know we've got some more coming. So please be working as a team. Work with your supervisors, work with your peers. We're going to get cross-functional here, guys. We're going to cross lines, and we're all going to be working together. So, but we're going to figure that out. So be communicating, and I want to stress that over and over. You can say anything. It's how you say it. Say it with respect. Say it nicely. Talk to your supervisor. Don't talk to your neighbor who doesn't have the answers. Talk to your supervisor and get the correct answers. And together you can strategize and move forward. Supervisors, managers, they can't address issues that they don't know exist if nobody tells them, and they can't see everything. We can't see it all. So please be communicating through the proper channels. No one's going to be penalized for asking questions or bringing up points or asking if something was thought of. But there is a good way to do it, and there's a not such good way to do it. And I think that's the really important thing is the civility. And if you treat people respectfully, you can ask anything. And I know I've said that over and over, and I firmly believe that. Not what you say, it's how you say it. And so, but please be talking up the channels and making sure communication is going like this. Because I see it sometimes going like this, and that makes for a tough organization. When it goes sideways first, and then it comes around, and then it's got to go back down. So if we can start to keep the communication channels going like this, I think it's going to help all of us move together and move forward. So when we get those gaps filled, our next initiative is really looking at our strategies and our goals as a college and how we grow enrollments. Enrollments include retaining our students. Enrollments include recruiting new students. And we're going to do both, and we're going to have strategies for both, and we're not going to have a list of 50 goals. We're going to have a couple that people are going to be focused on this year, and how we start working together to make our college stronger. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Some of the responsibility of what's going on at Kish College is ours. We are not solely victims of things happening in Springfield. Part of it is, but part of it is ours. And so what we have to do is we have to figure out what we can control, and we need to feel like we can control some things, and we can. We do have the ability to do some things about what's going on. We can increase the revenue into this college by growing our enrollments, keeping the students that are already here, making sure we help them find their pathway onto a job or onto higher education, whatever they choose. And we can also increase our enrollments by helping more students get into our pipeline, whether that's returning adults. And I've heard a lot about it. Is that a market we're missing, and do we need to capture more of that? But also our K-12s and our high school students coming directly out. Can we capture more of that audience? So those really are where our goals are going to be targeted around, are those initiatives and how we build the revenue and the resources. There's an economy of size, and we want to capitalize on that. If we keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, it's going to mean less people, and it gets tougher and tougher to do things, and then there's less services we can provide, and less things we can do with our students, and less programs we can offer. So we're going to grow. We're going to grow out of some of this problem, and we're going to hope like heck that Springfield finds a way to turn it around. I spend a lot of time with Bob Pritchard. He is the one who probably is the most invested in what's happening in the colleges in our area right now. So I'm spending a lot of time talking with him and getting the lay of the land. And yesterday he shared that he's not so sure that even the election now is going to turn it around in November. Whew, that's going to be, that was a punch when I heard that yesterday. But it's the reality of where things are in Springfield. They're not anticipating that the elections is going to change the composition of Democrats and Republicans all that much. And our governor is in his position until 2018. Well, what does that mean for Kish if money doesn't come in this time next year? Well, if we're growing enrollments, that'll help us a whole bunch. Maybe we grow more revenues through foundation and donations and privatizing some of our funding sources. We're going to be working on that. There's We're not going to paint the picture of if it doesn't happen, we're done, because we're not done. With our budget next year, we went from 22% state funding. Our budget next year is down to 13% state funding. We're going to continue to whittle away at that and get to a good point. We've put all capital projects except those that we deemed critical, and I put critical in capital letters, critical. So we went from a little over $1 million in capital projects that we're going to do over the summer and into the fall, down to 160,000. So we're continuing to look at ways we can strategize so that when state money does come in, and who knows, at some point it will. At some point it will come in. We'll be ready, and we'll have our list of projects and we'll have our list of initiatives that we want to implement once the money comes in. But in the meantime, we're not going to fold in the towel. We're going to work hard, we're going to serve our students, we're going to do great things for those who choose to come here, and we're going to grow. And we're going to increase our revenues, and we're going to work like heck. Marshall and I are going to be best friends. We're going to be beating the pavement, and we're going to be working on raising some private donations to get more money into this college. And that's what we're going to do. And so we're going to pull up our boots, and okay, we're going to hear some doom and gloom from my buddy Bob, but we're going to keep moving forward. And he's going to keep fighting for us. That I know. And then that's going to be the important thing. And we're going to continue to tell our good stories. And we're going to get a feel-good article into the paper. I haven't had a chance to connect with Katie yet this morning too much, but we did it last time. You know, we had the February media release about our board meeting and all our layoffs, and then I did a letter to the editor where we talked about how great our college is. All right, so last night, and this morning again, now we've got the not great press because it was approved on our layoffs. And now we're going to find some feel-good stories. There's a lot of good information about, Matt Reed had sent us a list of things that faculty are doing in the community for community service. We know our students are doing a ton of things in community service. So we're going to spin some stories, and we're going to get some more information out there. Laura's going to work with us, and we're going to get some more information out there about all the great things that are happening at Kish. And so we're not going to let this swallow us up, even though it hurts like heck. We'll cry inside, but we're not going to let the world see it. And we're going to stand tall, and we're going to talk about all the great things that this college is doing. So that's it going forward. And so we're going to work really hard to fill the gaps, set our goals for enrollment, and we're going to do some strategic planning. We have scheduled a breakfast on April 5th. The K-12 superintendents that are represented by our district are coming in for a breakfast meeting. We're going to talk about the dual credit proposal. We're going to talk about some other initiatives, how we get into the classroom, how we build pathways, how we provide opportunities. When should we be having high school students on our campus? Should it be on days when school is closed? Or can we do it during the school day when the students are in session? How do we get more parents on our campus? We're going to do some brainstorming with them on April 5th. They're excited to do it, and we're anxious to be working closer with them. So a lot of good things happening there. And then we're going to set up some in April, end of April, early May. I'd love to have it done by early May. Kevin Fuss and I are working on setting up some business listening sessions, and we're going to do about 9 of them throughout the district. We've kind of targeted which communities we're going to go in. We're going to invite business leaders and others into a meeting and talk about what are we doing well, what are our opportunities, and how do we go forward. Give us some ideas. What are we doing? Where can we go? I just mentioned I had lunch with Dave Jude, and that was one of his sentiments is, you know, let's look at what you're doing, but let's look at what you can be. And I think we're going to be looking at that. And I know I'm sending some ideas to Mark that I've been getting in the community about new program ideas, some short-term, you know, put some certificates together, do some short-term training programs, how we ladder into other programs. We're going to be looking at a lot of things. We're going to create some new products. That's going to generate some buzz for us too, because we can do just so much to get new enrollments, but what we need is some cool things to sell, and that's going to be in our new products, and so we're going to be working on that, and we need the community to help tell us what those cool new products are going to be. So we'll be moving forward with that, so we'll get all that information. By summer, we're going to be humming. We're going to know what our few goals are and how we move forward together. Comments, thoughts, questions on any of that? Okay, well, I don't really have anything else to talk about right now. I'll come back up at the end if you want to think about some more questions. Yes?
You had mentioned that we might lower the tuition for out of district.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on how much you would lower?
So my latest thought is like 1.5 times our new tuition rate. You got any thoughts on that? It would go from what, is it 311 right now? It would go down to 228.
I would say every summer I get about 3 students from Rockford that they're all, we're gonna fill some because they don't have as many spots as we do.
Uh-huh.
And that's usually been a stumbling block.
Is the cost of tuition. So you think it's a good idea for us to lower it?
Huge. You know,
'Cause-
why would you wanna pay 3 times?
Exactly, and once we get them hooked into our program, they're gonna love it so much, they're not gonna wanna transfer, right? You guys are gonna keep them here.
Make the drive down, or the girls make the drive down.
Sure. We're much better than Rock Valley, aren't we? Now we got a few staff who've jumped ship.
We're definitely better,
Definitely better.
better looking too.
I haven't been on their campus, but
At least the other ones.
they're going through, they gotta go through a new president. Good luck. Yes.
Are you also taking a look at the international rates?
We're not. Not right now, because we can only bite off so much, I guess, and I think international is a whole another world, but we will. We will look at that. Anyone else? Yes.
I know that there is a huge push to respect the people that have been ripped, which is wonderful. Will there be any plans, or are there any plans after everything kind of settles to maybe send an email saying these individuals are now, the people that are here are now serving in this capacity?
Yes. Yes, we're just kind of waiting for that. And to be honest, because somebody asked, one of the board members last night asked me about the conference center with Pat Zone leaving. And I said, well, I'm going to be honest with you, we're still working on it. We don't have a good conclusion. Again, I had another conversation with Marshall this morning about another thought I had last night. So we're still trying to, I mean, this is a big puzzle, but yes, we absolutely will say this person is assigned to this and this person is assigned to this. And I know some of that communication about some changes has been a little slow to come, but again, we've got to respect the people who are exiting, and as soon as we can share, we will share. Yes, Bernie.
Make out-of-district tuition as low as possible. It's $10 more than what it is now. That's where it should be at, not a penny higher. It doesn't cost us any more for another student.
Be careful with those variable tuition.
Yeah, it's 1.5 times the lowest contiguous college. Yep, I'm on it. But explain that, Betty.
Well, I guess Kelly was just telling me right now an out-of-district person that came into nursing would pay their out-of-district, and then you add on another regular tuition of what ours is. So that would help in that respect if it went down, since they're already, have to pay that extra 129 or whatever.
So here's where the struggle is, because my first proposal was to do the 1.5 times our, to follow what we have to do, 1.5 times our highest contiguous tuition. And threw the number out, and Beth, doing her job, came back and said, if we didn't get any more new out-of-district enrollments, this is how much we lose. So if we can be assured that we're going to grow out-of-district enrollments a ton by dropping the price for everybody, then we'll be okay. But what I'm worried about is how are we going to make it up? At least make it up. That's the big concern, because I don't want us to go. So I can't remember what it was, Beth. 50,000? No, it was maybe over $100,000 we would lose if we went to that 1.5 times. That's a lot of out-of-district students we're going to have to gain to make up that $100,000. So that's why I thought, well, maybe if we go 1.5 times ours as a start, and if we find, you know what, we get a whole bunch of out-of-district students to say, yeah, well, maybe we'll look at it and go, yep, this works, and we can drop it even lower. So we still have to talk. So this is good, but we have to get a lot of students to make up $100,000 in tuition.
I'm getting at least 3 or 4 calls just by word of mouth. We're not even advertising. So I don't know how you advertise not to step on Rock Valley's toes, but, the word gets out.
It's a cover agreement, so it's not really stepping on
All right. Well, they're calling us. The TV station's in Rockford called Katie, so we'll put in a plug and go, and by the way, come to our auto program.
But honestly, too, they don't have extra sections like we do, so we could have lower tuition. I know we do.
Okay. There was another hand?
I'm thinking about in selective admission, ICCB requires that we take in-district.
First, yep.
So that you must not be selective admission.
No, we like everybody.
It's you health people that are so particular. But that's okay. Bernie, did you have?
With us dropping, or talking about dropping out of district tuition, are we gonna market that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
They look at it and say, a little bit of difference is what we're gonna pay for gas, it's worth it.
But we have to be careful because we can't be sending flyers outside of our district boundaries. So how we're probably going to have to market it best is word of mouth. And we're going to have to figure that out. And we can be on our website, and it can be, we can splash it out there, but we can't be sending flyers outside of our district.
On a radio station that just happens to reach out there.
We absolutely can do that. That we can do. And that's a really big market, and that's what Sedgwick has been talking about. Is he's assured me we're going to get higher than 7% enrollment out of those out-of-district apps if we lower that tuition, or else he's taking me to lunch. No salad. Yeah, no green stuff in my teeth. Any other questions? Yes.
Early question, but just something to keep in mind, if we're raising tuition for in-district students and then lowering it for out-of-district students, we have to formulate that so it's not the face to in-district students.
Good point. Have to figure out how we spin that. Yes.
And we thought about, I know I've been approached at least by 2 people the last 2 weeks, why we did not put out the spring catalog earlier. Their kids are now going to out-of-state college, take a class they can take in here in the summer.
They've been trying to look things up already, and they can find them at other schools and out of hours, so then they're choosing a different summer school course.
Maybe I'll think about that. That's something that we kind of already did talk about.
Okay.
in budget.
Okay.
So I believe the classes are built right now. Are they already in? Classes are built for summer.
Maybe we just have to move that deadline up a little bit. Cindy's capturing that.
A lot of colleges are just now starting to enter into their spring break like we are next week. So usually when they come back to their
February 1st is kind of the,
February 1st is when they want to see it? Okay.
just online. We don't have to have the actual paper one by then, but the online. And that's fluid, it'll change as we make.
Well, so I had an experience this week too, and Katie knows this because I was emailing her. I was at Geneva at a co-working space meeting for the Proudly DeKalb initiative, and I was just I wanted to see what classes we had in entrepreneurship at Kish. Well, I had a little bit of a challenge, so I sent Katie a note and said, how do I find just a class? And so then she gave me my 3 steps, and I'm like, we got to make it really easy to find our classes. And it's no fault of anybody's. I find that this is when and I used to do this all the time to my poor admissions staff. Someone would ask me a question, someone would call me, and I'd look up something, and then I'd be like, oh, I can't find it. So then I'd shoot them a note like, I can't find this. But it is good. It's like Secret Shopper, and maybe it isn't an easy fix, but we've got to figure out something. So especially for like this summer audience, they're not going to be our regular students. They're going to want to just come and take some classes, and we need to make it really easy to just scroll down by division, program, whatever, what our list of classes are and a description of them. I think we'll figure it out, and again, I'm not trying to criticize. I'm not being critical of what we do, but until someone goes out and tries to do that, it's like, oh, that was a little more complicated than it, because if you're someone who will go to 5 different colleges and you just want to quickly search for classes, we need to make it really easy. So that to me is an enrollment. When we talk about enrollment strategies, that's an enrollment strategy. Let's make it really easy to find what people. Now that app That made it super easy, and that's why I asked if it was going to be a recruitment tool, because that makes it really easy to find classes. You just type it in and it pops up. I liked it. So, any other questions? No? All right. Well, with that then, maybe I'll quick do Kevin's part, and then Marshall, I'll let you be the closer. All right. So, one of the things, I'm a big user. I drive a lot in this job, and I have my Bluetooth. I understand Illinois is hands-free. It's all fine. But I'm going to tell you, with extensions, it's a nightmare. So, good news. That was a little loud. Okay, maybe not good news for a few people back there, but good news for the rest of us. We're all going to have direct dial numbers. I agree. So, let me tell you, there were a couple of people who asked me a couple of times why I wanted this. So I think you know if you're in this room, if you asked me, and now you can see I was on the right track. I just think smartphones, things like that, they are the thing. We've got to get away from extensions. Now, here's the good news. We're not getting totally rid of extensions. You will still have your extensions, meaning your business cards, your stationery, your whatever are just fine. However, when you start to reprint and when you do new things, you will have a direct dial number. I need to check my phone because Kevin sent me notes and I want to make sure I am saying everything he was going to say. Kevin got snagged into, I think Katie, you helped him with this one. Kevin got snagged into a presentation with some retired folks.
How area retired educators?
Yeah. Well, so they're retired. They don't necessarily have deadlines, so he got there this morning and they were doing like a warm-up discussion and then they were going to have him present and then he had to stay for the buffet. And so he sent me a note and said, geez, this is not going the way I think it's going to go. I don't think I'm going to make it back on time. But he said it was good he was there. All right, so it's going to provide easier access to college offices, and that's another thing. All of our students have smartphones. They think we're crazy adults if we don't have smartphones. So it's going to provide easier access to all of our offices, and when we're doing marketing promotions, it's going to be really easy to have a number to get more information for people to plug in. Everyone will keep their extension. I already mentioned that. Everyone will also get a direct dial number. I already mentioned that. It'll be done next month. Woohoo! Great job, IT. Does anybody want to raise their hand who's in charge of this project? Woohoo! Woohoo! You didn't do it, RJ? No. It's a good thing. Someone take credit for it. It's a good thing. Dan? Anyway, well, you can see people are loving you. This is a lot of love you're getting. Okay, so then we have to update the 911 records, and that will be done asynchronously. By May or sooner, you'll have your new number, and no need to throw out your business cards or stationery. I already talked about that, and your current extension will still work. And there will be more information coming about your assigned numbers as we get closer. So, any questions on any of that? So another month?
For internal calling, we'll still use our 4-digit extension to reach one another's offices, right?
Sure. It works. Yep. I tell you, I love it. On my lunch today, I had to call Cindy twice. Well, if I didn't have her direct number, so a couple of us I got mine right away because I needed it right away. It's so nice to just plug it, and it's hard to do it. I don't think you can do it hands-free if it's not a direct dial. Yes?
So that means when an outsider calls the college and let's say they got one of those old business cards that has an extension, will there still be like a recorded message that you can still dial those?
Yes.
Or they just could have dialed like 815-825 and then my extension directly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did this cost money?
No. Well, it costs a little staff time. Yes.
So, and maybe this is just me being lazy, but when it was a holiday or something, when you have the extension and call in, everybody does the same message, we are blah, 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 but if they direct dial, everybody's gonna have to change the message. Is that right?
Well, it depends on why people would be direct dialing you. Well, is that how people find information about the college being closed? Is it through the phone? Is it through the web? This is,
They call and they hear a message that we're closed.
if they listen. If they listen. If they know your extension, they're probably not listening anyway. I think this is pretty typical. There aren't a lot of businesses anymore that have extensions, and I think for this exact reason, because it's just harder to get through with the extension. But again, the extensions will be there, so for people who like it, and you don't have to advertise your direct line if you don't want to, but I think I'm going to know all your direct lines. Any other questions on phone? And you know, I'm glad you asked the question about cost, because here's the deal, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, and I said it last month when we talked about bringing back a little bit of travel. We are moving forward. We are going to do new things and innovative things, and we're going to move forward. Are we going to spend the mothership on things? No. Like I said, we cut the capital by a ton. We said what's critical. There are some things that are just essential business practices, and I believe this to be one. People have to easily be able to get into our college, and people have to easily be able to do their jobs. And this is part of it. So I'm glad, but so you will see that. You will continue to see there will be some things in our enrollment plan that we will do differently and new, and we will keep moving forward because we have to. Because again, we're not going to lay around and be the victim and say, oh, can't do anything until we get money. It's only 13% of our budget, folks. That's a lot of money we still have to do stuff. So we're going to continue to move forward, and we're going to do things. And when that money comes in, boy, we're going to have our plan ready to spend it, and we are going to be humming. We're already going to be on the upward trend. Any other questions? Okay, Marshall? Marshall, the closer. Yes.
You know what, I think I'll just project. That's all right?
Are you loud enough?
Am I loud enough?
Well, if you stand back there, there's a microphone.
I can use this too. I guess I can. First of all, I just want to say on the whole phone thing, personally, I think that's great. I give up my phone number half a dozen times a day, every day, and it makes it just so much easier not to have to, here's the number, here's the extension. So, and then they don't have to dial in and then go through the process. So I'm a big fan for whoever is responsible. Thank you very much. Makes my life easier. But I'm up here today to talk about departmental awards. For those of you who may not be familiar with those, the foundation encourages innovation and creativity among faculty and staff, and once again, we're pleased to offer departmental awards. This year, my board of directors has set aside $20,000 for this effort. Just as a reminder, the awards are, well, if you have an idea, you should submit it, but here's some of the things that we recommend in terms of what they can be used for. Enhance student or academic or cultural experiences, provide professional development or renewal for faculty and staff, or increase and enhance relationships between the college and the community. That second one, I think, is especially important to professional development, and we know that we've cut the budget in that area. So if you've got something that might not fit into your regular budget, but you think it's very important, I would encourage you to submit that this year. We're always looking for margin of excellence. That's what we refer to, margin of excellence. So if this is something that would normally be in your budget, it's probably not appropriate for departmental awards. We're looking for something sort of above and beyond. The timeline is March 31st. That's the deadline for applications. We put this out on the portal last week, so I encourage you to go to the portal if you are interested in this. All the forms are there. They're very, very straightforward, just a handful of questions we ask you to answer. I would recommend that you go directly to your supervisor and or vice president and discuss what you're thinking about and make sure that they're on board with it. Ultimately, the forms that you fill out will go to them to be approved and brought to the leadership team, and we will vote on that. Well, we'll decide what goes on then. And what eventually happens is my board has an ad hoc committee, and they go through and decide which ones will be funded. Last year, I'm happy to say, we had 9 applications, and we were able to fund 8 of those 9. So we have a pretty good track record, and a lot of really good programming comes out of those awards. So with that, I'll just remind you, go to the portal. It's all right there. If you have any questions, extension 2660. And if anybody has any questions right now, I'll open it up for any questions. Is anybody here getting money this year for departmental awards? And will you maybe tell them just a little bit about what you're doing this year?
Sure. We requested money to purchase a fleet or several, what are called echo pens. They're note-taking pens. The pen actually records the lecture, and then it has a specialized paper tablet that goes with it. So I would only have to write, Marshall, and the pen would have recorded him, and when I go back to my office, I touch the pen to my paper, and I hear Marshall's whole speech. So if I didn't have the ability to keep up or process information that quickly or listen and write at the same time, all kinds of things, then I still would have all the information. So we have a number of students who check them out from our office. They're on loan to them, and then they're training them how to use them. They're all students with diagnosed disabilities.
Great, thank you. Did I see one more hand go up? Nancy?
Actually, it was a continuation from my sexual assault awareness grant, and so we've used it for bringing in some training for students as some either for sex signals or bystander awareness, and then we've done a lot of printing of material that we're required to do, and I'm actually meeting with students in St. Pat's tomorrow, I'm meeting with them tomorrow, and we're going to plan a student event for April, which is sexual assault awareness.
Great, great. So those are just a couple of examples of the 8 that we funded last year. So if there aren't any other questions, I guess, do I get to release everybody?
Do you want to?
I would like to. Thank you all for coming, appreciate it.